Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Therapy. Charles Hullett, maybe John's pregnant. What the hell? That's how we're going to start? Linda Wilkins says, good evening, John and Minnie. Minnie is not with me tonight. I am by myself, and God knows I need a handler. Okay. Pitt, how hard is it? Greg, Mr. Corn Curtis. Yes, I guess that's me. Okay, I'm going to, since it is me, I'm probably going to struggle with the keeping up with my topics. I actually have topics, and also following the comments because, I'm slow. I'm old, slow, like to yell at clouds. You know this. And I was trying to get the glare. I don't understand why my camera is doing something different than it was before. Okay, anyway. I'll spare you the witty banner part. It's still bright, isn't it? Why in the hell is it? We beat Rutgers, a game that a lot of people were worried about. Here's the thing. I titled this Nebraska's football red flags and the rest of the Big Ten. So you know what's going to go on. I think the first part of this show, I'm going to talk about, even though they're 5-1, and yes, we still need to bitch about things. And I decided, I realized I got some comments on the reaction video about, we're 5-1 and you're still complaining. And it's true. And I think that I see a couple of things that really bother me. Strategic items, not tactical. And by strategic, I mean long-term issues that need to be resolved if we're going to be a good team. And I think everybody wants us to be a good team. When I say good team, I mean be in the same conversation with Ohio State and Georgia and, Texas, God help us all. And, teams like that. And we're not there. I realize it's the second year and, we still have a ways to go. But there's a couple of things that I think that they still have to be fixed, even if we get to that point where we have a lot of depth and things like that. Linda Wilkins says, okay, that's fine, John. We will endeavor to persevere. Thank you, Linda. Okay, first of all, Brian Buschini. You know what I think we saw in the Rutgers game? I think we actually didn't see just a guy play really good football. What I think we saw was a hero origin story. And when he got hit on that block punt on the first part of it, he laid on the field, and I thought he was dead. I thought that's it. Our punter is gone. The master of the team is gone. The only good part about special teams is gone. And I think what really happened is he was dead, and he brought himself back to life and became a demigod at that point. And that, in my notes, it says right here, Brian Buschini to Boom Sheeny. And I know there are probably tons of people calling that already. But I think that is the exact moment which he just came back to life and became probably it's going to be probably a punter we're going to talk about for a very long time. Tiger Shark Driver says he was dead and almost went to Europe. I hope he's been there so he doesn't, think about trying to take over the name of my book because he's more popular and could sell more copies. Okay. I'm going to give you, here's the thing. I see problems, and I'm going to give a really short course in problem solving. Okay? Because this is something I did, and yes, I'm going to be all over the place because I'm trying to keep myself the energy up. Nebraska strong, go Big Red, says John. The special teams is a complete shit show. Adam Carricker gave Husker special teams an F+ grade. I probably would give him a D. And I'll show you some stuff about special teams in a little bit. I'm an IT consultant. I think a lot of you know that. It's been my career in IT. Earlier in my career, I did a lot of disaster recovery. I would be sent to companies. There were times I just get a name of a company, a name of a person to talk to. They're down, go help them. That's all I get. And I go into the company completely blind to try to figure out what was going on and how I could fix their issues. And when it comes to problem solving, what you need to do is you need to figure out several different perspectives. In other words, I'm an ABC guy. All right. All of my proposals as a consultant were typically ABC, three different, two, my lord, or three, my lord. Is that how that goes? Three different options I would give customers. The best one was A. It would usually be the best. B was probably less costly, but not as good. And then C was so terrible it made A and B look better. Those were proposals. When it came to problem solving, what I would do is I would come up with different things that I thought were causing a problem. And I would come up with different solutions. And then I'd literally argue with myself about why I was wrong and my own proposed solutions before I would present them to anybody else. I also did a lot of disaster recovery planning in terms of, if your company got hit by a fire, earthquake, hurricane, things like that. I worked for a school district or a parish down in New Orleans before Katrina and after Katrina. And their hot site was in Biloxi, which also got hit by Katrina and knocked their hot site out of commission. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm going to hopefully do tonight is I'm going to talk about problems and then I'm going to argue with myself about them. You guys can argue with me too. I mean, that's kind of what you do anyway, right? So we know that special teams are a problem. We know that we know that the special teams are pretty terrible. As somebody said, Court Carricker gave them an F+. I think that this is a huge issue, and I'm going to try to switch over here and well, I mean, it is a huge issue. I need to find where I'm going here. All right. So I'm going to pull up some graphics. By the way, if you are a member of Big Ten Plus, you can go out and see replays of the games that are cut down to, like, instead of full replays, you can just look at the game tightly condensed, and it's kind of useful. So we got punt block 1 right there. This is the moment before Brian Buschini became Boom Sheeny. And you'll notice I'm drawing on this with my mouse. I don't have anything to draw on it with the screen. But you'll notice the right side's kind of overloaded. You got 3 protection guys right in front of Buschini. And then this is what it looks like just before Brian Buschini gets killed. And you have 4 guys trying to be blocked by 3 guys. And the funny thing is when you go back to this initial thing, what you see is a gunner at the top of the screen with no one on him. And if the gunner had been taught or if he had any brains at all, he would have moved inside to block because they're overloading that side of the line. There's too many blockers for them to handle. Because in this picture, what we see is we see 4 guys on 3 and we're already screwed. All right. Let me get that off. So that's the first part of it, is asking honestly what really is going on with special teams, that these guys cannot make adjustments on the field. And I mean, like, at the time it's happening. Have they not been coached to do that? Are they restricted from doing that? I don't know these answers, but I know it's kind of infuriating because you got 2 punts blocked in that game. And I think there's how many kicks have been blocked and how many punts have been blocked. It's ridiculous at this point. So we're going to go back to that. I got to look at my notes to stay on track here. The other thing that I saw in this game that really bothered me a lot is this. This is when Rutgers came out in one of their early punt formations. I want you to look at this. This is second quarter, beginning of the second quarter. This is a Rutgers punt formation. And if you look at it, you notice something wrong with the way Nebraska is lined up. They have basically what are 3 guys split out to the right, and we have 1 guy. And you don't have, I'm not a special teams coach. Maybe I should be. But you've got 3 guys on 1. And I was absolutely shocked that Rutgers didn't throw a fake out of this, because you'll notice this is second quarter, 14-22. And then we go to the third quarter in the 12 minutes, and look, they're lining up the same way, but they do nothing with it. They did zero with this, okay? They saw the formation, then they saw the other formation, and you would have thought, hey, just tell the punter to throw the ball out there, okay? Now, let me slow down a minute and catch my breath. Let me check some comments. Blaine Cole says, can the punter pass? In hindsight, it looks like an opportunity was there. It was there, and it was there twice. Now, normally, you're not going to see that the first time and run a fake, but I'll tell you what you are. You are going to look at that and go, hey, you know what? We should be able to run a fake on our second time that we line up with that, and then notice, hey, that's what they're doing. Okay, I'm going to do something interesting. I hope it's interesting. That's what you hopefully are watching for. And I went to the wrong place. Okay. I hope I can show this. Okay. This is our first formation. This is our second formation. Okay. Later on in the game, this is the formation that Rutgers comes out into again. And notice something that Nebraska has now adjusted. This is a funky punt formation. And you'll notice that Nebraska on the field has adjusted for both the punt and any kind of fake. All right. What Rutgers did not do, they didn't adjust. And this is our fake. You can see the ball in the air. You can see Brian Boom Sheeney throwing probably what was the most beautiful pass of the game. Now, the thing with this is why is this happening? Why is this happening? Because earlier, Ed Foley, the guy that we want fired, slow down, John. Okay. Ed Foley, the guy that we want fired, noticed on this, you'll see the gunner at the bottom. You'll see Rutgers are not our guy. I'm sorry, our guy's the gunner. But you'll see what happened earlier in Rutgers fake punts, and I think I took a photo of this and forgot to upload it. Their guy that was supposed to be taking on our gunner did not move. He stood in his position. I have no idea why he stood in his position when our gunner went by him down the field in an earlier punt. Ed Foley recognized that. And from what I understand or what I heard, Ed Foley took Brian Buschini aside and basically had him practice and limber his arm up because Brian Buschini had never thrown a pass before. And then he throws that pass in that game. So that is an example of a special teams coach actually making an adjustment. So Ed Foley, during the game, noticed that. During the game, adjusted and did that fake. And, you know, it was almost a touchdown. If Jalen Lloyd could have beaten one guy, I think one of his own players gave him shit about that. If he could have beaten one guy, it would have been a touchdown because they went on the rest of that drive and they didn't score. Why didn't they score? Well, we'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay. Let's see. Dana Williams over on Facebook says our punter needs a black shirt. He kind of does. He needs something. You know, maybe they need to have a special teams outfit. I don't know. Fred Sacco says, what the fuck I get here and John Johnston becomes John Madden. What the fuck is happening? You know what? It's happening. I actually prepared for a show for once. That's actually what's happening. I have actually an outline next to me and I'm trying to actually stick to it, which is kind of something a little bit odd for me, but you know, there you go. All right. So what's the problem there? I think the problem is this. You know, if you're going to be in the same conversation with Ohio State and with Georgia and with, you know, well, Alabama, I guess they got beat by Vandy, but Joe Lalikas says the Rutgers defender not covering the gunner was noticed in film review of all their games. Isn't that weird? I mean, maybe they have a shitty special teams coach or they don't have a special teams coach. Nebraska Strong says, John, here's the problem. One great call by Foley doesn't make up for all the overall dumpsters fire special Husker special teams. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Again, if you expect Matt Rule's reign to get us from shit, which is what honestly, until we get to a bowl game, we're still shit. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Things look great, I think, mostly. There's some problems, but there's certainly some things to work on, and one of those is special teams. And if you, like I said, and started to say, I shouldn't have taken time out for the comment, I guess, but if you're going to be in the conversations with the top 5, you have to fix that. You can't have, what is it, 2 punts blocked in the game. Who the hell blocks 2 punts and loses a game? Nobody, pretty much. Who has 2 punts blocked and loses or wins a game? Almost nobody. And that's a testament to the black shirt defense, which still hasn't given up a rushing touchdown all this year. That's pretty amazing. But you do have to fix that. Okay, we know this. Like, we're not dumb. The other problem that I see that is a real red flag, and this is a proposition. When you go into an organization like I did and you try to figure out what's going on, in my position when I did that, I recognized at an early age that the problems were both technical and organizational. In other words, I don't know if I want to tell you this story. It'll probably be long-winded and it's about IT and people get bored. In any case, a lot of times problems are organizational. In other words, management is not telling people underneath them to do the proper things to be successful. And this is very much speculation, but I'm going to bring it up. I think I said something about this in the post-game, the instant reaction. By the way, when I do those, I just do them off the top of my head. I did that one take without a lot of thought. Are we playing like we're in the NFL? What do you guys think? I mean, because in the NFL, when you get a 2-score lead, a lot of coaches in the NFL tend to sit on that lead. Because a lot of coaches in the NFL, that's changed somewhat. I think it's been much more exciting lately. It's been a while, maybe. But I think that when it comes to the NFL, the way they coach, they don't take as many, they don't do fake punts like we saw. They don't try to block punts as much, and that's probably because they spend their entire lives coaching and learning how to play the game. And college football is only supposed to have 20 hours a week of practice. Highlander Gunn says, you're the Patton of IT guys, John. I was accused of I have a management style or a project management methodology that is I refer to as the Pearl Harbor method of doing things. And I've done that on a few occasions. Okay. Waterbug says, what about the fact that we have the 168th ranked rushing offense in the country? You cannot win meaningful games with no rushing offense. Oh, he said rushing offense. I thought he was saying rushing defense. That's part of what I'm talking about. All right, are we playing like we're in the NFL where we're getting a 2-score lead and then we're sitting on the ball? Because that kind of looks like it to me. Now, Dylan Raiola had not a good game. We all know this. Highlander Gunn brings up a good point. How can we be 168th when there are only 130 teams? So he kind of got you there. I'll look that up maybe in a little bit. Joe Lalikis, whoops, I think I missed that. Joe Lalikis says, I believe head coach Matt Rule, I almost said Mike Riley, was using this as a teaching moment, how to protect the lead. And I did also bring up that maybe they were using it as a method of saying, you can win 1-score games. Look, we're going to put you in this situation. And Linda Wilkins says that is the my way or the highway method. Correct, John? No, it's not. It's where I walk into a place where I'm working with a customer and we're in a situation where we have to do an upgrade, but we don't have the money or the time to plan it. And I look at them and say, we can do this fucking upgrade right now where we're all standing here. And it's going to be like Pearl Harbor. You're going to tell everybody the system is going down. I'm going to do the upgrade. And it's going to be like the planes are coming in and bombs are going off all over the place and everybody's screaming, but it's going to be over fast. And then the planes are going to fly away. And then hopefully we won't have all the wreckage, but we might. And people, I did that 3 or 4 or 5, 10. I did it enough times that my customers knew what I meant by the Pearl Harbor method of doing upgrades and stuff like that. Anyway, so I guess I look at this this thing with the Corn Craze says, love to hear John and drop F-bombs at work. I actually do that a lot in my real job, and my boss gets after me sometimes, but sometimes you need to make a point. And I don't know all the new management terms like this Sigma 6 stuff. I'm not a scrum master, you know, that kind of new stuff. Anyway, the run game is Haas and Greg and is it Jake talked about this last night. I hope you're watching Corn Nation Overreaction with those guys because they're really good about going in depth to what they see, and they're using the terminology when we go into like what's happening in the run. Like, you know, we haven't seen any wham style runs, and I'll be honest with you, I don't even know exactly what that means, but I know that I mean the run game in the second half was just boring. I mean, it's horrible. It looks like I think running Dua and running inside zones, and we're not terrible run blocking, but we're not good at it either. And I think it's clear that, you know, the offensive line needs more depth and it needs more work to become better. And I think the other thing is, and I said this, I think when we lost Illinois, they need help. They need help with motion so they can pull the guys out of one step. Corn Craze says John never invites me. Well, we'll make up for that. But they need misdirection, you know, so you can get the defense to take a step and then you can leverage them off. They're already moving their body weight, their leverage is off a kilter, and then you can, you know, get on them a little bit better with the offensive line. And I don't really want to bring up this next point because it might get me in a little bit of trouble. But honestly, I think we have good running backs, but we don't have great running backs. I think Dante Dowdell is a good battering ram. I think Emmett Johnson is, you know, he's decent, but he doesn't seem to be about. Put it this way. I don't know off the top of my head what our longest run of the year is, but it's not very long. I mean, we're not going to break a 80-yarder. We don't even look like we're going to break a 60-yarder. If you watched this before, you know that I love Ramir Johnson. I think he's the most explosive one. And even he is not, he's just not, we're not breaking runs. And there's two problems with that. Number one, either the running back, put it this way, compare it to Amir Abdullah. The guy could just do stuff. I can't remember, who was it? McNeese State at the end of that game. He basically kept us from losing to a shitty team because he was a mirror. And we just don't have that guy that can shift and move. And, you know, Rex Burkhead always looked like the guy you didn't want to play against or, you know, be on the playground in if they were playing Kill the Carrier, you know, that game that we called something else years ago. There are guys that are just not those guys. And maybe Emmett will get better. Maybe Dante Dowdell will learn how to, like, I don't know, not just decide that he wants to make contact every single fucking time he hits the line. You know, those things. Now, I'm going to counter my own argument about special teams. Well, number one, last night on the Overreaction show, I said maybe, because I was in the comments, I said maybe we're saving everything for Ohio State. And they pretty much shot that down, which, you know, it's a stretch. You know, I one time suggested to a client that they may have trained communist rats were in the ceiling eating their network cables. as a suggestion. Anyway, all right, here we go. Corn Craze says if Giantia was in the portal at the end of the year and you could get him with the #1 kicker in the country, who are you taking? Oh my God, you give me a super chat. I'm obligated to take it. And now you've thrown me completely off kilter. I don't know. I'm taking the kicker just because I think listen, we're all going crazy with the kicker thing. I think our running backs are serviceable. I think, man, the glare. I got to figure that out. The running backs are serviceable. I think you can still gain yardage if you're getting the blocking better. But thank you, by the way, Connor. I think you can still make points in the run game. I also question, is the offense using the pass to set up the run? And I think they are. The problem you had against Rutgers is the true star of your offense, Dylan Royola, did not have a good game. He just didn't. And I'm not going to really get on Dylan very much. I'm not going to talk about him very much. There are a lot of people on YouTube. There are a lot of Nebraska shows on YouTube. And I think that by and large, they're going to be talking about Dylan. The only thing I'll say about Dylan is this, is for a guy that played his 6th game as a college quarterback, he protects the ball amazingly well. I mean, he threw his first real interception, and he threw the first interception because that was a quick slant play, and he needed to hit the guy, when he does the slant, and there happened to be a guy there, and he'll get used to, he'll get better at looking at formations. He'll get better at diagnosing defenses, but he has been unbelievably good at protecting the ball. He throws it away when he needs to throw it away. I mean, he took a grounding call. That's better than, to put it this way, I loved Adrian Martinez, but Adrian Martinez, for God's sakes, would eat the ball, throw an interception, or fumble the ball instead of just, protect the ball. We've had this problem for a long time. So Dylan Royola is way ahead of the curve when it comes to probably one of the biggest problems we have. And that was the turnovers that we'd had for years. Okay. And this next point I'm going to try to make is, well, it's, maybe it's stretchy, but I'm going to present it to you. Let's see. Linda Wilkins says there was a high snap. Matthew Braz says there was a bad snap on that play too. They were high sometimes. Fred says, I'm sitting in a pergola at the B&B and we're staying at, drinking and listening to this. The 6 other people here are very, very confused. Makes me happy. Makes me happy too. Oh, I love people being confused. Okay. Kaylee Bartell says we do treat it like an NFL style offense, and the fact that we believe in a ground and pound game, but instead of getting 5 or 6 yards up the middle, we can only get a couple. Running backs are solid, not elite. Yeah, good points, Kaylee. All right, where was I like? Linda Wilkins says, hit the like button, boys. I can still kind of read. I'll present you an argument about why special teams are so bad. And before I do that, I'm going to take off this robe because now I've bounced around so much and I've been so animated and I'm getting hot and bothered. Okay. A perspective. That's what this is. None of these coaches, I know you want Matt Rule or Ed Foley fired, but none of these coaches are in danger of being fired. They're not. I don't know. I can't remember what Matt Rule's contract is. 5 year, probably. That's pretty standard. The guy at Purdue is in danger of getting fired this year because he's so bad. Matt Rule, none of his coaches are in that position. And you usually, at a minimum, will give coaches 3 years to get their shit together. And then you start judging them. So you, as a coach, what I'm proposing is this. Matt Rule is on a plan. And he has a 3-year plan. And that 3-year plan is this. Year 1, fix the defense. He did that in year 1. Year 2, fix the offense. And it looks like we're working on fixing the offense. We have taken penalties and cut them down. We have one false start penalty in this game by Latowski. And one turnover? We've cut the turnovers way down from the awful God horrid shit that it was last year. Year 3, fix special teams. So my position, my perspective that I'm presenting to you is this. We're not going to get special teams fixed this. Well, we're not going to get special teams fixed this year, but that's not till next year. That's why it's so shitty this year. What do you think of that? It's an option, isn't it? All right, let me hear some comments about that. Matthew Braz says 8 years, $74 million. That's the contract. Yeah, it was 8 years, wasn't he? Made him guarantee or have an long-term contract. But typically it's year 3 when you start looking at coaches and say, okay, we know that we're going somewhere. We don't know we're going anywhere. So Fred Sacco says, so if next year we still can't complete the long snapper to holder connection on field goals and kick coverage and punt protection and kick returns, is that enough to can Foley? Fuck's sake. Here's the thing with Ed Foley. The chances, I know there's a lot of people saying that Bill Bush could be the special teams coach. Ed Foley has been with Matt Rule for many, many years, and I don't think that there's any chance of him getting fired. You typically don't fire your friends because that is, they're friends, and you trust them for some reason. And Fred Sacco again says, I heard they're paying Ed Foley in pressed nut rolls. Is that a problem? Well, I kind of hope they are. Tiger Shark Diver says maybe they are in love. And you know what? Apparently somebody decided that I needed help tonight. So he's going to join me. And we're going to start our next segment, which is talking about the rest of the Big Ten. So I hope he's prepared. Hello, you miserable bastard.
You didn't say anything about what are we talking about?
The Big Ten.
You said nothing about that.
Oh. Well, oh gosh, you're unprepared. Is that what you're saying?
How you doing, buddy?
Linda Wilkins says you can divorce your wife but not fire your friends. Yes, Linda, you're old enough to understand how men work. Come on. Yes.
How are you, you handsome son of a bitch?
I'm struggling with everything. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So what you're saying is it's a good thing that I'm here.
Yes, it is, because I was kind of starting to get a little. You can keep up with the comments at least. I have been just clicking on things and reading them.
Let me just say, I am here to be utilized in whatever capacity. I better rephrase that.
Yeah, you better.
It's good to see you, my friend.
Okay.
Do you know how much I miss you?
No.
We did a couple hundred shows, it seems, of the Five Heart podcast.
That's true.
You and I, between you and me, or you, me and Haas, or you, me and Todd, we were at one point, we were 2 legs of the tripod.
Right.
Tiger Shark Diver's not wrong.
Okay.
I just want to say, you have opened your home to me.
That's true.
You have allowed me to continue doing this, having this amount of fun on your website, coronation.com. I can't articulate properly the amount of appreciation that I have for you, sir.
Well, thank you. Now we're going to move on to the Big Ten.
What you've done, your generosity changed my life.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, let me think about this. Or you think about this. Without you, none of us would be here tonight.
Well, that is probably true.
So
there probably would be other shows they could watch, though.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be as fun.
Well,
they wouldn't make me as uncomfortable as Fred sometimes does. The pivot man and the
Greg,
car wash. Ouch.
Did you watch my post-game reaction?
Fun story. I did not, because I didn't even get to watch the game until yesterday afternoon.
That's right. You were at a Boy Scout camp. Well, I did something for the first time in the post-game reaction that I've been thinking about for a while. I introduced the sidekick.
Who was the sidekick?
It did not go well. And I'm not sure if I should do this, because this might be one of the dumbest ideas I've ever had. But it's still there in the back of my head, is actually using, this is Bucky, and you can tell
I'm familiar with Bucky.
him at a Buc-ee's, a Buc-ee's in Texas. And I thought, maybe he looks kind of like a Wisconsin Badger. He really doesn't. I really wanted to buy a Buc-ee's onesie, but all of them were way too big, and I didn't do it.
He looks, honestly, he looks a little more like a Goldie Gopher than a Wisconsin Badger.
He does, kind of, except he's red and not maroon.
Yeah,
and I am not using a Goldie Gopher. Okay.
When's the last time you had your hand up Goldie Gopher's ass? That's what I want to know.
It was probably at a baseball game, actually. Okay, anyway.
Big Ten overall, John. Can you believe? I was astounded the realization that we are halfway through the college football season.
It goes fast.
It goes too fast.
It goes really fast.
Yeah.
Aaron Keene says, "I don't know what's happening." That's the point. I'm always trying to keep people off balance, Aaron.
That's great.
I may introduce Bucky here with some skits at some point. Because here's the thing, when I started talking about Scott Frost being fired, I got a lot of hate mail. I got really nasty comments from people. I don't think anybody gave me harm threats, but I figured that if I have to start talking really anything that would make people really upset, I'll have Bucky do it. And then, you can blame him. That's how it goes. Or her. We haven't decided yet. Okay. Nebraska is strong. Go Big Red. Bucky needs a Husker shirt. In other words, I need to work on it. Matthew Braz says it's only halfway over if you don't make a bowl game. Well, we're making a bowl game.
That's true.
And that's why we are.
I'm still here. Don't worry.
David Matney says, what grade would you give Matt Rule at this point of the season? You know what? I decided to consciously not think about that, or not comment on that, because I know that there are a lot of other Husker shows, and Greg and Minnie will probably do this Thursday night. I didn't want to do mid-season grades about Nebraska. I wanted to talk about what I thought their problems were mid-season. They need offense. They got to figure out how they're going to score more points. The defense is phenomenal. Oh, the one more thing I wanted to bring up about, are we playing like the NFL? And I didn't write it down here, but it's come to my mind. One of the things about that is they're getting a lot of people in the game still.
Right.
And, you can make a choice. You can go ahead and insert people. We used to get in this mode where we have 30-point leads and then we put people in the game. Well, he's putting people in the game during live fire situations. Elijah Judy's in the game, rotating in the game. I could come up with other people.
John, you were there a little bit last night for Coronation Overreaction. And towards the end of that show now, we've introduced a new segment called, we haven't quite, figured out a name, but it's like, risers and fallers, I think. And I actually have Elijah Judy as a rising player. And I go back to Saturday afternoon's game against Rutgers, where Kyle Monangai was, he looked like the way he was running the ball in the first quarter, looked like he was going to run for 250 yards. And he seemed relatively unstoppable. And I don't know why this one particular play is etched in my brain, but Elijah Judy just penetrated the backfield and got a stop and didn't allow Monangai to, break a big run. I'm like, you know what? That was something that the defense, I think, built on. So right. You mentioned Elijah Judy, and I had him as a riser after the Rutgers game. As far as grading, the Matt Rule, and we're going to do that.
Don't go down this. You can save it for Thursday. You have a whole show to do.
I was going to say we're going to do that on Sunday on overreaction show. So
next week we have a lot of shows. If you guys aren't tuning in, tomorrow night is Andy Kitterson. So watch him. Damn it, Greg, are you on a green screen?
Fun story. No. I'm still waiting on my hardware to come in for my new desk that I bought incomplete. So as soon as I get the hardware, I thought it'd be in today. Hopefully it's in tomorrow. By Thursday, knock on wood, we will. I'll be at my new desk with my new chair. I'll be excited.
Okay, it was a great big weekend in college football.
Right.
Texas A&M throttled Missouri. I didn't expect that. I thought that Missouri would at least hang with them, and they just got the shit kicked out of them. That game was shocking. The biggest shock of the weekend was Vandy over Alabama.
Of course.
And the Vanderbilt students walked the goalpost 3 miles and threw it in a river, which I would have thought you take it somewhere and cut it up and everybody gets a piece. And now I see that Vanderbilt is selling pieces of the goalpost online for $1,000 a piece.
Right.
Why?
Yes.
Smart.
I don't know if this is tongue in cheek, but I did see a post from last night that the Nashville Fire Department was fishing the goalpost out of the Cumberland River. Yes, it was going to be taken to a place to be dismantled. This might have been more, again, sarcasm or unverified reports than anything, but yeah, that it was to help pay the SEC fine. I don't know what fine. I don't think you can fine the school for tearing down goalposts, but
yes.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, Vandy got fined $100,000.
Gotcha.
And let's see what else happened. Arkansas over Tennessee. That's kind of neat for Arkansas. Somebody got fined $250,000 for their students rushing the field.
Nice.
The Big Ten does not do that. And we'll get to that in a minute. Syracuse over UNLV. So UNLV probably going to the playoff is probably shot. SMU over Louisville, not as big an upset.
Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that was a couple years old. I'm sorry. All right.
Okay. The two in the Big Ten that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the Big Ten now. Washington over Michigan.
Oh, it was Arkansas.
Yeah. It was Michigan second loss. You mean Arkansas got fined? This is their second time they rushed the field. So
right. SEC fines Arkansas $250,000 for field rush versus Tennessee.
I think that's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they're a lot dumber and drunker in the SEC, so maybe it's a better, they're building up a pot they can pay out lawsuits with, when somebody gets injured. Are you watching the comments?
Yes.
You started too. Okay, good. Because I'm into my Big Ten thing now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Washington over Michigan. So that makes Michigan's second loss. And I don't think Washington is that good. It was a big game for them. Michigan looks completely lost on offense. We don't play Michigan this year, but they just they don't really have any playmakers. They're struggling at the quarterback position. I don't know what people thought what's going to happen in Michigan. When Jim Harbaugh left and took up a bunch of assistant coaches,
right,
and a guy who'd never been a head coach before took over the program, I saw them losing 4 or 5 games, and I think that's still in the works for them.
Exactly. Yeah, the Wolverines they're essentially starting over from scratch because you weren't just losing a lot of the coaches, you were losing a fair amount of players, and you were also losing the behind the scenes advanced scouting.
Oh, man. USC lost to Minnesota. And we're going to play USC. And I know that a lot of people, we're going to talk about this game first out of the Big Ten opponents we have left. I know there's a lot of people that picked us to lose to USC. And if you'll remember on this show, I called it broken family syndrome, where we look at ourselves and say, there's been comments. Not many of them, the comments from people that's all the games we're going to win. We're not going to win the other game. God, come on. Fucking look at who you're playing. They're all fucked up people too, except for maybe Ohio State. That's what we're going to go through. Okay. USC, why did they lose? They lost because Minnesota has a damn good defense. They also lost because Darius Taylor for Minnesota went off in that game, and he is a damn good running back. But here's the point with USC. And my son brought this up on the car I'll give him due credit, my rotten son, who really makes good points about things. I hope he didn't hear me.
Doesn't that just piss you off?
Yeah, well, he's useful sometimes.
I know you stopped short of calling him a useful idiot.
Well, he's not an idiot. He's just
I know. He's a smart kid.
Okay. Lincoln Riley struggles with good defenses. Lincoln Riley has made a coaching career out of being the quarterback whisperer, but I had to point out to you that he did that in the Big 12 and the Pac-12 against defenses that they're not Big 10 defenses. No. Now that Lincoln Riley's in the Big 10, that son of a bitch is going to have to deal with the likes of Iowa and Minnesota and Nebraska and Ohio State, teams that actually play damn good, tough defense.
If anything, as a Husker fan, I'm so sorry, John. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But
you always apologize, Phil.
I know. I'm a polite individual. I was raised right. The outcome of the USC Minnesota game should be exceptionally encouraging to Husker fans because I'm gonna put an image up there, John. Maybe you saw this yesterday. Maybe you didn't. If any of the viewers were who are here with us tonight were part of the Filthy Animals last night, they saw this. But 43 FBS defenses have forced 8+ turnovers this year. 16 FBS defenses have recorded 15+ sacks this year. 11 FBS defenses are allowing less than 14 points per game this year, but only one FBS defense is doing all three, and that is Nebraska. 11.3 points per game, 20 sacks, 10 turnovers. And you editorialized the bottom there, pay Tony White double. But look, you already talked about it. I don't necessarily want to, rehash the Rutgers game. But Rutgers had 7 chances Saturday in the red zone on one possession after the blocked punt, and the defense kept them out of the end zone.
That was pretty phenomenal.
It was like the goal line stand last year at Illinois. This defense is when it's ready. Now I'm gonna say this: I think they were gassed at the end of the Illinois game.
Yeah,
but when they are firing on all cylinders, look out because this defense is nasty. We talk about they had a rotation in there, and it might have been on that series of that Rutgers possession, but they had Robinson, Hutmacher, and Van Poppel all in, and that's a lot of beef up front.
That's a lot of beef.
And there was no, you looked at Van Poppel, there wasn't a letdown from his energy, from his production. He was hanging in there with, again, Robinson, who could be playing at the next level right now and will be next year, and Nash probably will be as well. We are not seeing a big drop-off from talent. And I don't care what anybody says. I was really impressed with Marquise Buford this past Saturday. And Sierra Wright had a really nice game. Yeah. Bullock, Gifford, I think, there was the one, I think he might have misjudged a read or something like that, but still, he still led the team in tackles, and everybody's playing at a high level, and there's a lot of depth, and that's what I don't want to say concerned about, but you talk about a game on Saturday that was in the 90s, and you needed to be able to rotate some fresh legs in, get guys a breather, and we didn't see a drop in effort or production. For all, that's why I'm encouraged when we talk about the USCs of the world.
I'm glad you segued that back to USC at the end. You are an expert. You're a professional at doing that because I was about to yell at you.
I knew where I was going, John.
Okay, good job. All right, Minnesota beats USC. It was a really good game for Minnesota. We have Minnesota fans at my house. There you go. Wisconsin and Purdue. We're going to play Wisconsin. And Wisconsin 52-6 over Purdue. And if you look at that game by itself, you're thinking, oh my God, Wisconsin is a juggernaut. They're not. Purdue fired their offensive coordinator after we played him.
Right.
Purdue on the field during that game, I didn't watch a lot of it because it was actually, after a while, it was completely useless to watch it. Purdue on the field didn't just look lost. They looked like they were lost, and they didn't give a shit that they were lost. I mean, if you remember last year's Nebraska-Michigan game where we just basically laid down and let Michigan run all over us, and Matt Rule said this will never happen again, that's kind of what Purdue looked like, except for one problem. I don't think Ryan Walters is probably going to survive this year. Their team just looks completely shelled, completely destroyed. They don't care offense, defense, whatever. Wisconsin, I think, this was a good game for them because they're still trying to figure out who they are. And it's Luke Fickell's second year. So that should give you an idea, I think, of how far ahead of or where Matt Rule is compared to. I think Luke Fickell's a good coach. I know that, a lot of people say, ooh, it was only Cincinnati, but he did get him in a playoff. I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he fits well at Wisconsin. I don't know if they're ever going to pull out of this. But if you looked at Wisconsin and said, well, we're going to lose to them, well, maybe we are, but we're probably not, as long as our defense can keep playing at a high level. UCLA, November 2nd, I believe it is. I kind of want to go to that game. If nothing else, if you remember, I interviewed James Williams from UCLA, and we gave him all that shit about having to go to Nebraska in November. I really just want to go down there and meet him in person and make fun of him in person for freezing to death.
I mean, UCLA, I don't know how cold it gets in like Corvallis or,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay. Maybe 40s. And that's like the thing. I have a daughter that lives in San Diego. If it gets down to 60, they're freezing to death.
They don't have air conditioning down there, right?
I have no idea. I don't get to go. Her mom gets to go to her house. I don't get to go to her house.
Why not, John?
Well, I work all the time. Oh. I'm a working fool.
You are overworked and underpaid.
I work so my wife can go to San Diego and see her daughter.
I just oh gosh, I work so much.
Yeah. There you go. Good job. So UCLA, they are just. I don't know about them. Are they going to win another game this year? It's really questionable.
I mean, let's take a look at their. I'm really curious now. I want to see what their schedule looks like the rest of the way.
It's at some point in there, it gets to be like juggernaut nasty, 4 weeks in a row or something.
Let's see here.
Fred Sacco says John's not allowed in most spaces. There are spaces where I am not allowed.
Let's see. I'll say this regarding UCLA. They have had now 4 straight games against ranked opponents.
Okay, that was yeah.
Starting with the dismantling by Indiana back in mid-September, 42-13. Then they went against number 13 LSU and got doubled up there. Then it was a loss to number 3 Oregon, 34-13. It was a loss to number 4 Penn State, 27-11. They have Minnesota this week. It's Rutgers, then us, Iowa, Washington, USC, and for some reason, Fresno State on November 30th.
Right. Well, keep in mind that USC is the private school, UCLA is a public school out there, so they probably have weird obligations to the other public schools in California about playing them and that kind of shit. But do you see another win on that for them? Not really. They're 27-11 isn't bad at Penn State for having to go to Penn State.
Right.
And, Penn State's defense is incredible. Penn State's offense, they can get going on you and get a little juggernauty at the end. But
their only win, they've lost their last 4. Their only win was the opening game against Hawaii, 16-13. Again, Hawaii is not a juggernaut, but no. I mean, do I feel bad for UCLA? Not really. Am I excited for them to come to Nebraska so we can kick their ass? That's the plan. But I think a lot of it is going to be, I don't know, because again, I'm Fresno State. Let's throw in. That'd be a hell of a way to bookend. You would have wins against Hawaii and Fresno State and 10 losses in between there. I mean, would I love for – go ahead. Sorry.
You'd finish the season on an upswing.
Yeah, be more than what Nebraska has done in some years. So,
well, and that brings us to Iowa. Have you watched Iowa play much?
You know what? I don't have time for naps.
Okay,
I have three small children and no time for naps.
That's probably yes. I watch Iowa so other people don't have to. It's pretty obvious that Iowa struggles on offense, despite the fact that they have a new offensive coordinator. They have Cade McNamara. If you watch Twitter over the weekend against Ohio State, they were down only 7-0 at the half, and then 35-0, and then Iowa scored late. And I think I posted in Slack something where Iowa's had not scored against ranked teams they were like 200 points to 0 or 150 points to 0 against ranked teams until they finally scored at Ohio State at the end of that game against God knows what depth was in for Ohio State. But Iowa has always built itself on their defense. I think their defense has dropped a step. Losing Cooper DeJean was a damn big blow to them. That guy was phenomenal. And Iowa doesn't really bother me because they just simply can't score. And we even have a better defense now.
Here's what I'll say. I look at Iowa's schedule. I think the game this weekend against Washington could be interesting. I don't know if I see another loss on their schedule. I mean, Maryland, maybe, depending on what Wisconsin team shows up November 2nd. But circle Black Friday because Nebraska's not losing that game.
Yeah.
That's the I tend to overuse the phrase galvanizing, but it's important. When Ty Robinson said before the Iowa game last year that he was coming back, he already knew, he had it in his mind. I don't think, Ty Robinson is a leader. I don't think there's a way that he will ever sleep again if in his last year in Lincoln, we lose to the Hawkeyes.
I was looking at the comments.
I'm a little behind on the comments, but I did want to highlight this one going back to UCLA because Kaylee Bartle says a little hard to get a good beat on UCLA with such a front-loaded schedule, which is kind of the point I was making.
Well, I think
Kaylee just says more articulately. So
when you struggle with Hawaii in your first game of the season, granted it's a first-year coach and putting a program together, but 16-13 against Hawaii probably was a good sign for the rest of the season for them. That it's going to be a really not a good year for UCLA. Ohio State. I really haven't watched Ohio State that much this year. Not a lot. It's hard to watch them because they're steamrolling people and they're juggernauty. I mean, you watch it for a while and you go, I'm not going to get anything out of this because they could take their first string out and they have them go get ice cream for the first 2 quarters and bring them back in the third and they'd be down by 2 points or something,
I had ice cream right before jumping on the show.
Yeah. Ohio State, I think the key, I don't think we can beat Ohio State, especially in Columbus, especially not with a freshman quarterback playing his first game in Columbus. But it will be interesting to see what our defense can do against them.
The closest game that Ohio State has played thus far is I shouldn't have said that the Iowa game, 35-7.
Yeah,
they demolished Akron 52-6, beat Western Michigan 56-0. No surprise there. Handled Marshall 49-14. Even beat Michigan State 38-7, and it was 35-7 against Iowa. So their real test is going to come again this weekend when they take on Oregon. So
there are some good games coming up. We could see more upsets.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's Indiana. That we're going to play next. We have the bye week. Maybe we'll fix special teams during the bye week.
Ladies and gentlemen, mark your calendars for Saturday, October 19th. as your Nebraska Cornhuskers go to the big noon kickoff, which
Are
is
you going to go
technically
to that
11
game?
o'clock. No.
Why?
Oh, we could talk about that off air, John.
Isn't Indiana right next to Illinois?
It is, but Bloomington's still a bit of a poke for me.
They have an international airport, right?
To Bloomington? Like, do you think I just have one of those in my backyard? Let's see. Hold
Well,
on.
you know. Okay.
Bloomington, Indiana. It's 191 miles, almost 4-hour drive.
That's not bad. Wait,
I'm saying-
191 miles in 4 hours.
Wait,
I
hold
guess if you're taking kids, yes, but I could make that in 2.5 hours.
Why did it say I got conflicting information because the route that says avoid tolls is, which I don't pay tolls because who's got that kind of money, 3 hours 43 minutes and 231 miles. So I don't know what initially popped up 191 miles. They dirty rotten liars. No, long story short is because of the family, I'm not going anywhere. So
Okay. Let's go through some comments real quick.
let's go through some comments.
Linda Wilkins says, "John, get a beaver and we could be your beaverets."
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I started that one just because I knew it would make me smile.
You did. Fred Sacco, who is left now, said Lincoln Riley struggles with being a man. He is kind of I am not a big Lincoln Riley fan. I think he's kind of an arrogant prick. I realize he's kind of backed that up a lot. Kurt Signetti from Indiana seems to be an arrogant prick, kind of an asshole. I do like him because I think that's what Indiana needs. And I instead of hoping our opponents get worse, I hope they get better, because watching college football, I think, has been more fun this season than any season I can remember. That goes back to the 80s and 90s because, we've been beat down and now we're rising, and it's a lot different than always being on the level and being angry about where you're at all the time, even though we bitch about everything yet still.
I want to talk about, do you think it's because of the emergence of the super conferences? That we're getting like the Big Ten and the SEC. We're getting higher marquee matchups. We have a regular season in conference game this weekend, as I mentioned, number 2 against number 3, Oregon, or Ohio State versus Oregon. So
that's big.
Right. But I mean, it's almost trying to figure out how long can it be sustained? Will this novelty wear off and then be like, all right, well, now we're just going to have the big SEC and we'll have one Uber conference.
Why did Vandy beat Alabama?
Because they were better.
Well, okay. Well, why do you think that? You know what I mean?
Because they have the juice. They have the juice.
If Vandy could raise the money to buy a decent quarterback or buy some decent players, why can't they compete with the whole game has changed now? And, Indiana is undefeated. And I realize if you look at their strength of schedule, it's pretty shit. Nebraska's strength of schedule isn't very good either. But Indiana's they haven't been at this point since like 1902 or some damn thing.
Yeah.
And that's good for the conference. If you can get everybody, maybe we don't all watch the NFL, but the NFL is interesting for one sole reason. And that's because the playing field is level. Okay. The playing field in college football is never going to be level, but I think with NIL and the transfer portal, it's leveler than it has ever been. Because if you can get a bunch of guys together and get money to say SMU, they can start competing with teams they've never been able to compete with before. So that's
how SMU kind of gets their footprint back,
Yes. Yeah.
By doing legally now what they were doing illegally 40 years ago.
Yeah. But I think Washington, Michigan, both the national title game last year, that wouldn't have happened. Yeah. You're at least getting teams to play each other that we'd never seen before. I don't think the novelty will wear off because I think that it will become more NFL-esque. I've said this before. the top 4 teams from the Big Ten and the SEC will likely get into the playoff, and we'll start ranking things and gauging success a little bit different. But I think the games, there's been weeks. Remember how we do predictions every week?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's been weeks where you have to struggle to find a good game to do predictions on because the point spreads are double digits on everything.
Right.
And now you don't have that as much. So,
okay. It's in a lot of regards, John, it feels like there's a bowl game every week.
Yeah.
And there will be a day, don't get ahead of me, there will be a day when the SEC will actually have to schedule a 9th conference game.
Yes, there will be.
There will.
Okay.
I look forward.
I'm trying to get ahead of you because, my God, I can't go to you guys go 2 hours and 8 hours for the show.
Ralph Davis says Indiana determines the rest of the season. It's a must-win game. John, do you agree with that?
I don't think it's a must-win. I think that depends upon what your goal is. And I think at the beginning of the season, everybody said we want to get to a bowl game. Well, we're going to get to a bowl game. I don't think Indiana is going to stand in the way of that.
Right.
I think that our defense can shut Indiana down and not let them score. It's a matter of can our offense get their shit together and score some points. Probably 20 points to win that game. And we really haven't had a hell of a time scoring 20 points for some reason. But it's not a must-win game. I don't know if we have a must-win game if our goal was to get to a bowl game. I mean, UCLA is terrible. We've already gone through the list. We don't play Minnesota's good defense. Wisconsin, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio State.
There are winnable games.
Yeah.
There are winnable games in the back end of the schedule.
So I don't want to be dismissive, but at the same time, I don't think it's an indictment if we lose.
Did you get this one? Because this is a super chat from 40 minutes. Did you get the Corn Craze super chat? All right. Well, you need to unstar these. Come on. Linda Wilkins says, thoughts on Nebraska starting to serve beer at football and volleyball games, John?
Well, I don't drink anymore, so it doesn't matter to me. But I see so many comments from people about, it's terrible. And, one of the regents said we're selling our soul. And I thought she should have said we're selling what's left of our soul. Two things about this. You're kidding yourself if you didn't think that people come into the games drunk off their ass and drink a lot of beer tailgating. If they're people who drink a lot, they will be drinking their fucking asses off before the game anyway. And secondly, they're going to end the policy where you can leave the game and come back in. So what that means is those people that used to leave the game and go get do shots and shit and come back into the game can't do that anymore. And they're going to be drinking really, I assume, expensive beer. And let's face it, if you're a guy who drinks a lot, as I did when I quit, beer is, who gives a shit? When I worked in New Orleans, people down there drank beer to sober up. And that is not a joke. I remember going to Jazz Fest. And you know how you go up to a place if you're
Wait. I'm going to stop you right there.
What?
You went to Jazz Fest.
In New Orleans, yes.
You said the word Jazz Fest.
Isn't it Jazz Fest?
And you didn't give jazz hands. I'm going to need you to do that all over.
It's not that kind of Jazz Fest.
There's no way for me to know that. I've never been to New Orleans.
Gospel tent, for God's sakes. And if you've ever seen gospel music, you need to go to Jazz Fest. Then, my God, if you don't believe in God, then you're going to burst into flames just at that moment. Anyway, I went to Jazz Fest. And, most of the time you go to music festivals and stuff, and they'll be like, you could buy 2 beers maximum. You go to Jazz Fest, and you have people walking away with a case of beer in each hand. That's how they approach beer in New Orleans. Okay? So Nebraska's selling beer at games. That's a big freaking deal. I mean, unless you're a
I'm going to say this. Because I think it's equally important to recognize that people are probably just bringing it into the stadium with them.
Well, yes.
And I want to say this. No, huh?
Not beer.
Okay.
They're bringing in schnapps I mean, you stuff vodka down your pants.
I didn't stuff anything down my pants, but I did have a bottle of water that I just kind of casually walked through security with. I mean, there could have been vodka in that.
There could have been
bottle, John. There wasn't. It was water.
Nobody's bringing beer to a game.
Game day before the game, because I was soaking it all in. I had one beer at the tailgate I saw you at. That's the only beer I had until after the game, John.
Yeah. Well, you don't have.
I'm probably in the minority.
I'll make one more point. It's a bonus point.
Oh,
a lot of universities are doing this because years ago, West Virginia was, I think, one of the earlier universities start selling beer, and they did a study on themselves to determine how many police incidents they had, and they actually had less incidents of selling beer in the stadium because people, I mean, if you're a guy that likes to not be sober and you go, one of the worst things you could do is start sobering up in the game because all of your energy goes away. Well, if you can have a couple beers during the game, that doesn't happen, and you're not craving. That's how this works, okay? If you drink a lot, that's pretty much how it works, is you're craving some alcohol to get that high back. Because coming down is, it's Sunday Morning Coming Down by Chris Christopherson. Good God. Listen to that. One of the most depressing songs ever written. Beautiful song, but unbelievably depressing.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah. I loved Chris Christopherson. His music was, even when I was a young kid,
We want to talk briefly. This comment takes us back to the Rutgers game.
Okay.
Rostovsky says, you block a punt and the stats say you have a 90% chance of winning the game. That's how good our defense is playing to overcome that. And Brian Hula says, if you block 2 punts, you have a 99.5% chance of winning. So,
okay.
Defense is stout. Defense is stout.
Yeah. Okay, Ralph, we did that Ralph Davis one. Nebraska Strong says, I disagree, John, and this is a must-win game so that we can get the bowl game monkey off our bat. My God, man. I don't mean to be insulting, but be a patient person. Patience is a virtue. Good things come to those that wait. We've been waiting for years. It's almost there. So I would like that too. I think that we will beat Indiana, but I'm not. Okay, I am going to freak out if we lose because that's what I do. But, the key is freaking out in the instant post-game reactions and then flushing it out of my system. And
Nebraska Strong also says Indiana's overrated.
Well, they played one of the worst schedules in the nation so far. So, yeah, but they're still doing historic stuff for their program. And I think we all know that their program has been not, it's been terrible for years. So,
and I don't know why we ended up with 3 in a row, back to back from Nebraska Strong says we haven't been to a bowl game in 8 years, or as Haas Reuter likes to say, we haven't been to a bowl game since the Obama administration.
You don't have to say it like that.
I do because he does, and he also says we haven't beat Wisconsin since the iPhone 4 was new.
Oh, fuck.
All my best lines are just Haas lines that I regurgitate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let's see here. Let's talk about Sierra Wright briefly because Nebraska Rascal. Just change your name back. I miss seeing the other name. Sierra's ranked 3rd best defensive back in the Big Ten right now.
Well, he's been good to come in.
Absolutely. And there's not been a drop off between him and Tommy Hill.
Yeah.
Which is what we want. I hate to harken back to the old days, but it's what made the teams of the 90s so damn great. Somebody gets hurt, the next guy up, there's no drop off. And that's what we've seen here with Tommy Hill and Sierra Wright. So I'm excited for that young man. And let's just keep it rolling.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Brett says, speaking of allowed, the offer stands. The first offseason show, if I go clean, John does the Young Guns. Yes, we have multiple comments about Young Guns. If you are not – so for those of you, for the uninitiated who were not around the Five Heart podcast last year, we started, and it happened by accident because we got talking about John's heart attack and brain injury. And he has said, you know what, Greg, before everything happened, I loved peanut butter. Now I hate peanut butter. And I don't even know how we got talking about Young Guns, but he says, I hate that movie. That's a stupid movie. I said, John, maybe it's the anti-peanut butter. Maybe since the brain injury, you find it's a really good movie. And he said, well, we'll never know because we'll never watch it to find out. And we made a challenge live on the air on that Thursday night. I want to say it was October, probably close to about a year ago. And I was like, look, if we can get $100 raised here through YouTube, we'll find some time, we'll carve out some time in the offseason and watch Young Guns. And Marcus, by the way, poor Marcus, yes, Highlander gun, he paid $100 within seconds. We ended up raising, I have it in the tally over at my, torn apart desk. We raised over $400 that, John added a significant amount to and made a very nice donation to the Team Jack Foundation at the end of last year. But we haven't given the people, John, what they want.
I know. That's because copyright strikes are a bitch. That's
why. We got to find a way to have just a private viewing party that's not out to the world. Because Highlander Gun and others.
Even more to get in. Is that the kind of pricks we want to be?
But Highlander Gun and myself and others are waiting still on Young Guns movie night, John. We tried it. We got kicked off of YouTube in about 7 minutes. So.
Yes, we did. They hate that. They hate copyright content on live streams.
Aaron Keynes.
And then Andy, because he played some movie clips, got us nailed for copyright. And we had to that was in July or something.
We were on probation.
We were on probation. And if we'd have gotten another problem, YouTube would have cut us off for like a week or a month or something. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, Aaron, I do. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Aaron Keene, who, by the way, changed his YouTube image since last night, says Young Guns is taking longer than Greg's shirt delivery.
Why? You showed up so they could all take pot shots at me.
Most of them don't even.
That's what's happening here.
So,
put that one back up.
Which one?
The CU. Do we have a CU guy? I haven't been watching the live.
High Wisdom. High Wisdom is he was here with us with the Five Heart crew on the Colorado week, and to his credit, he's the only Colorado fan who came back after that loss. So,
Colorado is 4-1 now.
Hey, let them keep winning. It makes our win look better.
You know what? When we beat them, all the animosity I feel toward Colorado has gone away. I hope they have a decent season.
I mean,
I think it'd be funny. Plus, I think it would be toward the end of the season, if they keep winning games, we can look back on that and say, we beat the fuck out of them. And they were a good team, and everybody thought they were a terrible team. And they're 2-0 in the Big 12 now. And I think their defense is a lot better than people expected. So, and their offense is, they're 4-1. They've already won as many games as they have last year. And remember, when I started this, Greg, I talked about how problem solving, and part of problem solving is being honest with yourself and not letting your emotions drag you into having bad perspectives on things. And the way you be objective is to draw yourself back, take a cleansing breath. Take a cleansing breath with me, Greg. And when you look at Colorado, it's a very good possibility that they may have a Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter, and they may end up going to a bowl game and actually having one of the best seasons they have in years. And I think that would that would be good for Nebraska in terms of strength of schedule. Because listen, this is a stretch. But I've said this when the 12-team playoff came in. If you are in the top 4 of the Big Ten, you have a decent chance of making the playoff. And part of that is going to be strength of schedule. And if Colorado keeps winning games, we can point back and say, look, we played a good team in our non-conference schedules. And then we played a Big Ten schedule. And by God, if we're at, 9-3, Aaron Rostowski says, "Who is this guy? What did you do with John?" This is the calm, rational John, the peaceful, loving.
Y'all have no idea. You have no idea.
When we beat them, I was there for that game, and it was cathartic in a way in which I just said, fuck these guys. This monkey is off our back. I don't have to worry about him anymore. I still see the Colorado fans talking shit on Twitter, and I'm like, talk all the shit you want. We won the last game. We're probably going to play against you in my lifetime. And there you go.
So
here's I'm done with you. My hate has been dismissed.
So I'm gonna hide this comment because we're gonna have. All right, Mr. Producer, can I get a solo? I'm gonna get a solo, right?
Oh my God! What happened?
Never mind. I guess I don't get a solo. I was trying to do a solo of me.
I'm the host.
All right. I have
I'll cover my face.
I have asked this poll live on the 5 Heart podcast, and the question is, how many of you actually used to have listened to the podcast for years, and how many of you were here for John? And without a doubt, it's his on the field rant at Minnesota. We followed him, we flocked to him. He is Noah with the ark, and we are the animals 2x2 seeking salvation in life. You don't know the tears that would stream down my face in the pre-YouTube era of what we do here now at Coronation, when it would be me and John, or me and John and Haas, or me and John and Todd, and the rants. Honestly, go to your favorite podcast app and go back 5 years. You got to go back some years. Go into the archives. Find some of those classic John Johnston rants. I promise you, it will be. Look, I'm going to say this now because Minnie did a tremendous job on this artwork. This Thursday, we celebrate the 400th episode of the 5 Heart podcast. Episode 1 was in 2016. And I don't know what else Minnie has planned. Can't say that I have any idea.
I'll publicly say this up front. I won't be able to make that.
Yeah, I know.
Because I will be doing a colonoscopy flash that night, and it will be a special moment for me.
Could you log in from your phone from your bathroom? I feel like that would be appropriate.
Oh my God, no. That'd be horrifying, and that'd be terrible. There's just, some things you just don't do, Greg.
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
Anyway, the 399 episodes are full of laughter. They're full of angry John rants. They're full of some really great X's and O's. But all of you who I don't want to say this in a negative way because I'm so proud of you, John, but y'all don't know Drunk John.
Well, that's true. That's probably a good thing. Because you guys got John not going off the deep end for a while, but toward the end it was time for me to be done with alcohol.
All that being said, super, super proud of you. And I'm drinking water tonight. You're welcome.
I think Roger is disappointed in me because cleansing breath of reality, CU will be circling the drain next year, and mechanics will be using CU shirts for shop regs. That could very well be true. But right now, they don't look like a terrible, terrible team, which I think is surprising. So, okay, what else we got?
Let's see. We've got all the young guns. We'll figure out a way. We know we owe it to you all. Nebraska Strong says, if we beat Ohio State, John shaves his head and paints a big red N on his head.
No.
We can't get John to just get a normal haircut. I don't think he's going to be shaving his head.
Yeah.
But we appreciate it.
Listen, Twitter is full of people sticking things into their body if their team loses. That is the most gross, disgusting, horrible trend of anything. You know, all started by the guy that said he was going to eat dog shit out of a Solo cup if Florida State loses. And now he's deleted it. He's counting. He's gone. Now other people have done terrible, unsettling things to themselves, apparently, when their team loses. And I just think those things are silly. Screaming is enough for me. Plus, you know, I'm old and I could go over the edge at any moment.
What about this?
Well, I might be able to do that.
Yeah, dye your facial hair and
look at you. You showed up, and suddenly this is what happens when you're here. Suddenly, you're just like,
you're welcome.
Yeah, you know what I probably will be doing again this year is jumping in the polar plunge. So you guys can help raise money for the Minneapolis or the Minnesota Special Olympics.
Please make sure that we have links for that. You know, the links that are really helpful. I don't know what you call it on Monday nights. On Thursday nights, we call it housekeeping. But hey, make sure that you get your Corn Nation merch at cobbycorn.com. John, are you wearing a sweet cobbycorn.com?
I am wearing a shirt that's Baby Sold One, which is Saturdays are for hope and resilience.
I think we need,
goes against
we need to
everything.
get that one going.
Yeah.
Also, while you're here, stop it.
What?
Why don't you have the picture of John? I'm so disappointed.
What?
You need the thumbs up picture, man. We got to remind. Hold on, please wait. You talk. Take a comment. Do something useful.
Okay, Nebraska Strong says I'd still like to see John go with a mullet. It's been a while. I did think about shaving my mustache and beard, but if John had a mullet, we'd win every game. Oh my God!
I mean, that's probably true.
Mini Hunt, John Frosted Tips Johnson. You guys are. Yeah, what do I do?
I don't know if I go with that one. That would be tough. I don't think I'm ready for that.
John can channel the Ohio State coach, a nice just for men chestnut. You know, Ryan Day does. I don't mind Ryan Day as a coach. I kind of like watching him. And by the way, when Ohio State plays Michigan this year, oh my dear God, is Michigan going to pay for the hell that they've done to Michigan the last 3 years? I think that's going to be fun to watch for me. But Ryan Day with the whole dye his hair thing, it's just a little too much there.
Well, I can't find it, but I was
just be a TV action hero guy. Is that what he's going for with that?
No, I think he's I think he's just insecure. You know, I don't have any other problem. I'm gonna, just like you, John, I'm gonna age naturally and gracefully. Moving on. I was trying. We don't have the graphic for it, but hey, that was a great time to remind.
What the hell does this mean? John looks like a magic marker.
No, Ryan Day looks like a magic marker.
Oh, okay.
You're fine.
Oh, you know what I think I didn't do is I didn't let my hair down for this show.
No, it's never too late, John.
Okay.
All I was going to say was now's a great time to remind you, the viewers on YouTube, to make sure that you like this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Corn Nation YouTube channel, where you'll get and make sure you ring that bell for notifications so that you're made aware of every new live stream, like Monday Night Therapy, Husker Happy Hour, the 5 Heart Podcast, Corn Nation Overreaction when we do them live, or when we drop just a new video, like John's instant reaction videos, or when he's back home in Curtis, Nebraska, you get 2. You get the instant reaction and the following morning reaction. So I watched a lot of your videos that week, buddy. So
okay, one more thing. High Wisdom, is that the CU guy? What NFL teams do you root for? My life, I've been a Green Bay Packers guy all my life. Because I'm old, and back when I was like 5, the Green Bay Packers were winning Super Bowls, winning championships, and my brothers had Green Bay Packers stuff in my house, and that was the only team I knew. And then one of my best friends was like where I recess in first grade. He goes, everybody has to pick an NFL team, and we had St. Louis Cardinals guy, we had Dallas Cowboys guy, we had Minnesota Vikings guy, and I didn't know what to say, so I just said Green Bay Packers, and I was stuck. There you go, I was Green Bay Packers. And my mom grew up in Wisconsin, and Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and we used to get the Rice Lake, Wisconsin paper when I was a kid. And every week I'd see all the pictures of the northern pikes that people had caught and the walleyes, and I'd be going, oh my God, Wisconsin must be heaven.
And then you moved to Minnesota.
Yeah, and what I discovered is the joy of being a Green Bay Packers fan in Minnesota is unbelievable. If you're talking about the NFL by itself, it's fun.
And Aaron Keaton says John rooted for Green Bay when Wisconsin was still a territory, not yet a state.
Yeah.
Okay. And Minnie's not wrong. Greg Boodlight Mahachko, I am a Steelers fan, so I was disappointed with the outcome last night, but not a whole lot I can do about that. I'm also not.
I wanted to see Dallas lose.
Me too.
Because I like watching Green Bay win and Dallas lose. I mean, they're not the only team I like watching lose, but
two of my favorite pastimes. So we have some actual football ones here, John, as we get towards the end. Minnie says we need to score in the 30s every game to have a good season. But before you comment on that, Kaylee says, while I would like to score 30 a game, I don't think it's necessary to be good if we have a top-tier defense. However, it is necessary if we want to make playoff runs.
I'd say 24. If you could score 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal with this defense, if this defense can maintain this level, we score 24 points in every game from here on out, we'll win every game, maybe except Ohio State, and we would play them to a 27-24 game. I'll be that bold.
I'll say this. I would be happy at 28 because of our current kicking situation.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Tiger Shark Driver says, did John get a new basement? You know what I did? My wife, we decided to change the backdrop. My wife did all this, it's wallpaper because that way we can change it easily. I'm still doing history videos, hardcore college football history videos. And I decided I wanted a different backdrop, and this is nice. And, I still kind of have to figure out lighting a little better. It's shit with glasses, man. It's hard to do with glasses without glare. I can't point lights at my face or my headaches go straight off the moon, whatever. We should finish.
Let me ask you this. Are you utilizing StreamYard's new
dark mode?
Dark mode.
Yeah, I have
Me
to.
Too.
Otherwise, it's too much.
Right. And I wear glasses too and get the glare. Let's see. Great idea from MK. I mean, I love it, but I also hate it because it means more work for me. MK says maybe we all reenact parts of Young Guns and then send the clips to Greg to compile and we watch
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
A shot for shot amateur remake from all over the world. That'd be great. Let's see. Minnie says, I always like John's backdrops. They are money.
Yeah.
Your backdrops look good, John. I wish the photos that you had, like the canvas prints, were a little bit more prominently displayed. But I'm also not going to argue with Mrs. Coordination, and I'm not an interior decorator like Minnie. So,
well, you know what? One thing you can't see is, that's okay. That's not going to work.
Yep. Aaron Rostovsky says, speaking of 400th artwork, how cool is Ashley Spitznagel's live painting for the Illinois game? That was tremendous.
I was hoping she would meet us when we had our gathering at Colorado, but she didn't come down. So,
well, it's because she knew I was going to be there, and
you terrify women.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. We should finish soon. What do we have left? Do we have anything left?
Nebraska strong. GBR says it lines out his predictions for the back end of the season. Wins over Indiana, UCLA, Wisconsin, and Iowa, and losses to Ohio State and USC. I think it's very possible that we go 5-1 over the next 6 games. I'd really like. I called it at the beginning of the season. We go 6-0. Depends on which Nebraska team shows up. If we get a right proper 60 minutes from all facets of the game, look out. Because we haven't seen that yet this year. We have glimpses of excellence here and there. We have a really strong the defense put together about the best best game, best 4 quarters in succession this past week against Rutgers. If the offense could do it too, again, sky's the limit. So
Oh, look at that. John's backdrop is like a Husker Buddhist temple. Okay.
Let's see. I've got
right.
a couple here. Hold on. No, just stop trying to kick me off.
See, that's your drag.
I know, but it's okay. Joe Laleka says, I suspect Grant Brooks will get playing time at Iowa. I don't know. That's a big ask for a true freshman. I know it's the idea of playing, in his home state. But I would just, hit the pause button on that or throw up the caution lights. I don't see it happen. I don't think it's necessary. Gunnar Gatula's been playing really well on the left side of the line. So it kind of comes down to one of those situations of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And then last but not
go ahead.
I was about to say last but not least, but I can find a few more comments. No, I'm not entirely sure about the first half of this comment by TSD. Says Lincoln Riley's pretty fruity, but I want to key in on the back half of this. Can't cook steak. John.
Yeah.
You strike me as a man who likes a good steak.
I've had maybe 2 steaks in the last 5 years.
Okay, never mind. I know the economy's tough, John, but damn, a ribeye's worth it. Get you a high quality ribeye.
That's true. oh my God. Like people are going to get the idea that I am a hippie. Okay. I've decided I'm better with my right hand than I'm my left because I can barely control this thing. Okay. We should go, Greg, because it's getting a little bit much here. Oh my God. Minnie says John is woke. What the hell is that?
I wasn't going to comment that because long hair and you don't eat steak.
It's just a diet thing. We're not going into that. It's too late.
And I'm maybe really another time.
Yes.
Well, one word.
Sometime.
I just want to remind everybody again about the slate of content that they have to look forward to here on the Core Nation YouTube channel in the coming week. Tomorrow, Husker Happy Hour with Andy Ketterson. Thursday night, 9 o'clock Central, which is, of course, as we all know, God's favorite time zone. You get the 400th episode of the 5 Heart Podcast with myself and Minnie Hunt. Now, I've been there for at least 390 of them. Minnie has been there for 35, something like that. So she got some catching up to do. And then on Sunday night, should be live, we're going to do our mid-season report cards on the Core Nation Overreaction Show. Myself, Hoss Reuter, and Every Game Jake. I'm sorry, I don't know Jake's last name. I should. But anyway, that is the slate. And make sure, again, as we said before, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the Core Nation YouTube channel, and ring that notification bell so you know every time we drop new content or a new stream. I already saw in the comments somebody's already first. By the way, I love that little friendly competition because this is a tremendous community. John, you haven't been around the 5 Heart in a while, but you know about this community that we have built around us here at Core Nation. And I said it before when I came on, but I hope you're proud. I hope you're proud of everybody.
It is fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It is very fun. That was the thing is my life's goal that I set years ago was not ever to make a lot of money, and I succeeded at that pretty well. But my big life goal was to never be bored, and that is one thing I think I've accomplished fairly well. And a lot of that is due to the people like you, Greg, and the army we have now at Core Nation, and the people that it is fun. It is I don't get out much, and I mean, for God's sakes, look at this. Has everybody watched SEC shorts?
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen enough.
You all should be watching.
I'm familiar. Shorts. Plus, I'm familiar with Buc-ee's and the wall of beef jerky.
And I am jealous of them. I would love for us to do skits, but the problem with doing skits is I live in Minnesota by myself. I don't get out. But by God, if I could, you do something with hand puppets, maybe it'll come in the works. It's the dumbest thing I can think of. So that's probably what I should do. 9:42 p.m. CST. John said something nice about Greg. Holy shit. We should end there before I ruin it. Okay. Good night, Greg.
Good night, John.